we want to look at why people fall in Aikido. And when I first started in Aikido, most of the things that people were doing were just beating me down. And so I did not I had a hard time understanding what was supposed to be happening. So for example, we would do a technique called Kotegaeshi, which twists the wrist outward, but people would just take this and crank it down, and they weren't doing anything to make you fall. You know, I'd just be standing there letting them do whatever they do, and what they do is just create a lot of pain and injure my wrist. When I first started practicing with people who were trained in Aikido, at the college I was in, there were several Japanese students there from Tokyo who had studied Aikido at Hanbu Dojo, and I got them together and we would train together. They were absolutely brutal. They would just destroy your wrist, and they just crush you into the ground. And so this is what I saw, and even now you see a lot of high-ranking people. If anything goes wrong a little bit, their default strategy is to just crush you and just break something. And if they can't throw you easily, if you're not taking ukemi the way they want you to, they just break you. And so another example of this kind of thing is Nikyo, where people get this Nikyo and they crunch down on this arm, and this is twisting the wrist the other way, but they're twisting this, and they just force you down into the mat. Nobody tries to take your balance or anything. So this is the first level. The first level is just breaking bones. You fall down to keep from having your bones broken. And so then the second level, you know, I kept asking people, well, how does Aikido work? And of course, one of my instructors on the first level stuff, I said, well, I don't understand Kotegaeshi. This is the first one we looked at here. I said, how does that work? And he said, come on, I'll show you it works. I'll show you. Come on, just attack. Well, he's showing me this way of just crushing people. So then I was at a seminar, and there was an old Army sergeant there who had a lot of experience, looked good at Aikido. And so I asked him, and he said, well, Aikido is the art of checking. And what he meant by that is that if Eric's standing with his feet lined up like that, he's very strong in this direction, but in a perpendicular to that, he has an all-balance point here and one behind him. So if I come up and push him here, he either has to step or he's going to fall down. So the second level of looking at Aikido is that you see how to break their balance. And so if you change Hami, so in this, basically what you're doing is you extend this arm and you drop it, and he falls down. Now the problem is he's not going to just stand there and let you do that. So that's where the checking comes in. So in the checking, I come here and stand. This is called a rimi, but I stand here so that he can't step. And then I drop his arm, and it's much more compelling. And then the other way, same Hami, the other way is called Tenkan. And in Tenkan, I'm stepping like this, so I'm still in basically the same position. My feet are lined up with his feet. This time I'm going to move out of his way and pull here, and it's very hard for him to stay on his feet. And the reason is that, let's see, get back. This foot is in the way of his foot, so it's very hard for him to step. And then when I bring him around me, he can't get his other foot around there quickly enough to catch himself. So that method of throwing, which is prevalent in a lot of Aikido techniques, is breaking balance. And then the third way of doing Aikido is breaking structure. So there are a lot of different ways of breaking a person's structure, but there are certain ways that are used a whole lot in Aikido. And the first one that we discovered and worked with not that we invented all this, I mean other people invented it, but people don't explain it to you, you have to figure it out for yourself. So, but is to rotate the person. So you see these rotations like the Tenkan I just did a lot of just then. And so you rotate your partner here. Well, when his shoulder shifts there, his structure breaks. Now it's not going to stay broken because he doesn't, you know, even though people aren't aware of what you're doing, their body knows that that's not a good thing. And so they fix it. But if you break this and you're stretching this arm out a little, you just break this, it's very easy to get your partner to fall. You just break their structure and just drop them. And so that's one of the things that breaks structure. And the other thing that really helps to break structure is these arm rotations. So rotating his arm here, like we did with the Kotegaeshi, well, that will break structure. And so you can do these outside turn movements, either by crushing the person. Let's turn this way. Saito, who's one of the big names in Aikido, let's see, turn it this angle, was talking about Kotegaeshi, and he was doing it by coming here and then drop it into this off balance point. So his concept of doing that Kotegaeshi, at least on that video, was to take the person's balance rather than crush them down. But another way of doing it is simply to break their structure. And when you break structure, you get these magical looking things where you just, and your partner just falls down. So you can do all these magical looking kind of techniques. And so now, when you start thinking about breaking structure, with the Nikyo, he catches. I can do that by just breaking his structure. Now I can do that same kind of thing and also break his wrist and break his balance. You know, you can do all of that, but you're not doing any of this thing of locking the person up and doing all this crazy kind of stuff. And then once you understand this kind of thing, another way of breaking a person's structure is to hit them. And a lot of times you do that to break their structure. And you can but you can do real dramatic things just with this idea of structure breaking. So Arimi, you know, people tell you in Aikido, Arimi is really important. You come in and stand here. Well, I think what you're really doing, Arimi, is something like this. So I come here. So you're doing something like that's what you're really doing. And so I come here, I break his structure, and then it's very easy to throw it. So here are your three stages. Here are three ways of throwing somebody in Aikido. One is you break their joints, one is you break their balance, and finally you break their structure.